Hey there, Alex Hammers here, and in today's video, we're going to go over an n8n workflow that I built for scraping Skool users. This is useful if you're doing community outreach, lead generation, or just want to get structured data from Skool without doing all the manual work. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. So this is the workflow that we have in question. It may look complicated, but believe me, it's actually fairly simple. So in this case, we need to have a few things ready before we start. I've outlined everything in the notes over here. This note is on the left side because it's too big to be placed above, but it's very straightforward, don't worry. So we need, first of all, the Skool community that we're going to tackle and where we're going to get the members from. So in this case, I'm using the Schoolers community. In this case, it's very important that you are part of this community. It can be a paid community or a free one. It doesn't really matter. You just need to be a part of it because you're going to be scraping the members. If you're unable to see the members from the Skool community, you will not be able to access them. So in this case, I'm a part of the Schoolers community. I can see the members, over 180K, and so we're good on that front. The next thing is we need to actually add the cookies from the Skool website in order to be able to scrap successfully. There are a bunch of tools, a bunch of browsers that you can use and extensions that you can use. In my case, I'm using Google Chrome, so I'm using an extension called Cookie Editor. It's one of the many. You can use whatever you like. The most important thing is that you should be able to see from the Cookie Editor. So we go into Skool, let's refresh the page just in case. We go in, we grab the cookies that we see over here, and we need to be able to export them in a JSON string. That's pretty much the only requisite that's needed. So once we got this file, we copy it to clipboard, and then we go into the workflow. Over here, we have to customize a few things that we need. So for example, the master config. In this case, we need to customize the cookie JSON. So you can specify which exact cookies that you need to use. In my case, I simplified it. So you just grab the whole string and just copy and paste it over here. So you don't need to worry about which of the cookies are going to be used, which are not. Just copy the whole thing, copy and paste, and it works as it should. The next thing is the community slug, which is basically the slug that we see in the URL for the community. Again, pretty straightforward. We just copy the thing and paste it inside the setup over here. Then the limit enabled, we leave it as true. You don't need to change that. And then we need to change how many members we're going to actually parse and scrape from this community. By default, there are 30 contacts on each Skool page. So 30 multiplied by how much you want. In my case, let's go ahead and do, I don't know, like 5 pages. Let's get 5 results from here. And that's pretty much it. You can add the Google Sheet ID over here as well. I tend to add it in here and in another place as well. Of course, I'll specify which things you need to change. But again, pretty straightforward. We just go into the Google Sheets, copy the ID from this part. You can add multiple tabs within the same spreadsheet if you would like to have it in the same place. Doesn't really matter. So grab it from here, go over here, and then just copy and paste. Simple as that. The only other place that we need to add the Google Sheet ID is in this node over here. Again, every node is named, so you know exactly where to change it. So add it here, and we just need to add it over here as well, like this. Then we'll parse from the list. We can select the tab that we'd like to use, and all the values will be added automatically as well. So once we're done this, we just click Save, and from here, let's make sure that we don't have anything over here. And let's, for the master config, let's actually go to 2 pages so it doesn't take that long. So we go to, actually no, free. Let's go to 3 pages, and from there we just click Save. And as you can see, we don't have anything right now. We go ahead, click Execute Workflow, and we just wait for the workflow to do its magic. So we've got the rate limiting built in, so we don't actually hit any API limitations from Google Spreadsheets, and we make sure we're not breaking any rules. We're just slowly and correctly parsing everything. It doesn't take that long. It's actually a pretty straightforward process. And once the rate limiting is okay, we go further. You can reduce it if you want. You can make it smaller. In my case, it's 5 seconds. I found it the best amount. It doesn't really trigger anything. It's very adequate amount. You can leave it to 1 second to 2 seconds, but I suggest to leave it like 3 to 5. And from here, like just as a quick thing, we got a summary node which says how many members we scraped, which pages we used, how many members we have in total, and so on. Just a quick summary thing. And if we go back to the Google spreadsheet, as you can see, boom, we have all this information that we need from the Skool community. So we got the name, the username, the profile, which when the people have joined. We have the LinkedIn URLs, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, if they've added it. We've got the website information. We've got the bio. We've got even the personality test, Mybricks, if they entered it as well. So a whole bunch of information, and you can customize it as much as you want. But this is pretty much the big thing. The only disadvantage here, the only thing that Skool doesn't really let you scrape, that would be ideal, but unfortunately they do not, is the email. Of course, it's not ideal. However, having all this information, we can definitely put it into Clay and then reach those profiles and find emails very quickly. Because having done all of this at literally no cost saves you a ton of time, a ton of money, and then just using Clay to reach it or any other service on Shopify is definitely a game changer. Also, I haven't really seen anybody doing this on n8n, mostly on Make, and Make is very complicated in that sense, and you definitely need like a paid account in there to achieve this same exact functionality, which you can basically do for free over here. If you're self-hosting, it's definitely free. If you're using, for example, a VPS to host your n8n, you pay some money, but again, it's the whole setup over here is free. So let's actually go ahead and discuss a little bit further what actually entails in each of those nodes. So we start again with the master config where we entered our information. The next thing is the JSON node, which actually parses the cookies that we need to extract from our cookie editor to ensure we're using the right ones. This is what I mentioned before. You don't need to specify them like the exact ones over here. We've got a code node that actually does it for you. Then the most important thing, actually one of the most important things, is the fetch current build ID. Build ID is what basically triggers and allows you to go through all the process of scraping. Every time it changes, that's one of the tricky things that Skool actually does. If, for example, you're using the same cookies on different communities, it might not work sometimes. So in this case, because the build ID from Skool resets automatically for some reason. So this is what it did. It just fetches the build ID automatically from the cookie string. You don't need to worry about that part. It extracts it automatically. Then, logically, the next step is to extract the build ID, which is again what it does. And then we go ahead and get the total members. So we see exactly how many members we have in the community. It has all the bunch of information that you don't really need, to be honest. It just has all the info that we can collect. So like something group ID updated and so on and so on. And then we get to the part where it actually gets interesting. So this is basically, this part was actually scraping the members. It's built in a way that it doesn't, again, hit any limits. It allows you to scrape them correctly without hitting Google limits, scrape limits from Skool, or any other things that might trigger a warning like, hey, what are you doing here? No, it's perfectly safe, perfectly legal. And this is basically what it does. It goes for a loop node. From here, it fetches them page members, extracts their information, and saves it to a Google spreadsheet. It waits a little bit. If it sees there are more pages, which is basically what we specified in this node over here. So if it was, for example, like 1 page, it would move to true and then done. If it was like 5 pages, it would go through this loop 5 times until it got all the members. And then again, the last node is the summary node, where we see the total members scraped, the pages processed, which is 1, 2, 3, what we mentioned, the total members in the community, the time step when we did this, and whether it was successful or not, and how we did this. And that's pretty much it. This is the one of the simplest workflows that I've built, and I believe it's very easy for everybody to use, so that's why I wanted to share it. You shouldn't have to be able to pay for that kind of stuff because it's public information, so it should be available for everybody to use. And yeah, that's the full workflow. It's, as you can see, it's fully dynamic, reusable, and designed to survive any Skool changes that are viewed there. If you want this as a template, you want to extend it with enrichment or plug it into an outreach automation, that's where it really shines. And yeah, that is it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.